So now let's just go through the actual mediums. And now that you've got all that, knowledge and skill set in the technical drawing process, which really serves you, now students already grow to that next level. And each medium that you paint with, whether it's oil paints, acrylic paints, watercolor paints, all these kinds of areas, they now help you, like you said originally, if you're in your business, to remember to work in the business and on the business. If you're in a relationship, you'll be working in the relationship and on the relationship. If you're having a baby, you're going to be adapting to the baby's needs when they're 2, and then when they're 5, and then when they're 7. So you're going to be evolving it to another area, isn't it? Am I aligned with that on the actual process with technical when you're doing painting?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're just going to break through very, very briefly on what you have discovered with working with the mediums, how you've seen it has helped your students, so people can understand out there what each medium does. So let's just briefly go over the ones that most people know about, and people obviously go to acrylic painting. Do you want to just briefly explain basically about acrylic paints?
All right, so obviously acrylics, they dry very quickly. It's the same kind of paint that you would paint with your house, or paint on your house. So it's water-based and it dries very, very quickly. You have to basically, you've got to work quite fast to adapt and accommodate to the quick drying process. Some students absolutely adore it, others don't. So you've also got to be aware that because they dry quickly, I find that if you have to pre-mix with the acrylics, then you've got to pre-mix them into separate little jars, and jars that have got little tops on. So you have to seal the tops, close the tops, just in case, obviously, because with air going in, if they're left open, then the acrylics is going to dry very quickly. And it's a medium that if the people in the know that acrylics is far harder to manipulate than oils. But that just depends on the personality. If you like painting very, very quickly and you don't like shading, acrylics is really lovely.
Okay.
It really is. It is possible to shade with acrylics, but then you've got to understand your medium. You've got to be a master of that medium. But when you initially learn with acrylics, it doesn't like it when you shade. So yes, and then understanding how to use the amount of water in relation to the amount of paint. And schools just decided that acrylics was the medium. They'd never ever considered any other medium, maybe watercolor, because it's also water-based. And the school didn't even consider any students or pupil to use oils, because they assumed that the turpentine that you use with oils is highly toxic and dangerous. To a point it is, but anyway, that's a story for another time. Okay. So that's your acrylics. And then with oils,
okay, let's just stop on acrylics first, and then just explain the emotional connection around that. So with acrylics, like my mama said, it is you have to work very fast. People like to do this in the paint by numbers thing. They usually get acrylic paints. It's a lot easier to sell into the mass market with acrylic paints, and it produces quick results. The only thing is that I've discovered with that is the fact that, like you say, you can't really create 3-dimension quickly, or because you So meaning you can't show that something is rounded and standing off the canvas, or you can, but you've got to really understand the medium to be able to do it. And you've really got to understand how acrylic paints works. It's obviously quicker to clean up, quicker to dry. So it's all those things that on an emotional level, it actually brings up people's frustrations for me to identify what is going on in their world. It shows me where they're not prepared to learn in the painting process. It shows me emotionally where they are wanting to rush through things and not take the time to educate themselves in a certain area. And it even shows me in areas where they are believing that they can't achieve something. But on the flip side, because there's both sides with the emotional scale, it also shows me how quick they are with their thinking processes, how they quickly come up with solutions, and how to, when you don't have time to sit and think things through, and you've got to make quick on the demand decisions, that really does help people in those processes. So it has twofold, the acrylics on the emotional side, what it can develop and push forward.